One check, check, check. All right, looks like the microphone is working and nobody is watching yet. That's a good thing. Oh, there's somebody. All right, folks, this is the first on psilocybin that I have run solo, so please be patient with me. I am Eric Osborne. I am the crazy mushroom man, spending my days and nights thinking and dreaming about psilocybin, maitake, lion's mane, all those beautiful fungi that bring so much value to our world. This is our weekly live stream where I talk anything psilocybin, hopefully talk with you. The last week, I don't know that we had any audience engagement, and I think part of that is because we're still working some bugs out, which is understandable. But we're getting there. We are getting there. I'm going to try to share the link. A man, Tristan, lots of love for him. He decided that it was no longer a good fit, that he didn't want to be around me, that I was too crazy. He needed something a little more mainstream, something that was a little more predictable. Just kidding. Tristan ain't like that. Tristan is along for the ride. But he's not feeling quite himself tonight. So we're going to let him have a little chill time. And you'll probably see him again next week. So I see that the link to join the chat just shared on YouTube and Facebook. So those of you who are watching through those platforms, if there's anybody out there that wants to be a part of this conversation, you are welcome to do so. If you're not, then I'm just gonna roll with some different kind of stuff today. I am very much a multitasker. It is really difficult for me to feel like I am not getting things done. So while this is such a wonderful thing to be participating with or in with you while I'm doing this, I thought tonight it might be fun if I'm not going to have an engaged conversation with listeners, which I hope I do. I hope that those of you, those 6 of you right now who are here listening, will engage in a conversation. All you got to do is click that restream link if you're seeing it in the YouTube or Facebook feed. I'm probably not going to be able to respond to chats, so you can chat away amongst yourself, but I'm not going to be not into that, as they say down on the island where I used to play. But yeah, I thought I would work on some painting. I thought I'd tell some stories. I've had some really powerful things coming up today in my world around the work that I've been doing with psilocybin. So if nobody's going to hop in immediately, then I'll probably just get my little thing going here. This is a painting I've been working on that is psilocybin inspired and just kind of personal motivation. You know, I work with psilocybin for a multitude of reasons, but ultimately it all comes back to personal growth. That is a spiritual growth for me, but that translates into many other parts of our lives. So I've got 2 cameras with me going. I don't know. It feels weird to look at for me. It's probably a little weird to look at for you. But I wanted to Bluetooth my headphones, and I want to be able to see the painting that I'm working on. These paintings, I'm doing a series of paintings that are all centered around messages from the mushroom, inspirational teachings that I've gotten from my experience, and they are for sale. So if you're interested, if you're looking for a painting to add to your collection from a crazy, not so well-known artist, then maybe this one is for you. I'm thinking this one may not look like it, but I've got quite a few hours in this thing trying to get it really nice. I'm thinking like a couple $100 for this one. So if you're interested, just let me know. If you're not, then whatever, don't let me know. All right, so I'm gonna get started on that. And while I'm doing it, I'm going to, just kind of chat up with you all about where my head is around psilocybin experience today. Again, I'll stop in a heartbeat to have a conversation with any of you lovely listeners. So all you got to do is click on that studio.restream link. I'll see you come up, and then I will let you in the studio and we can talk live. I really want to know what people have to say. I want to know what your experience is. I want to know what your questions are. There are far many more questions and there are answers in this work, and that is one of the most exciting aspects. All right, so without further ado, I'm gonna get up and grab my brushes, get my little soda pop going, and yeah, get on this conversation. All right, so what has happened for me today that is so powerful? Well, this is a part of my ongoing experiences with psilocybin. You know, it's not something that I have been super public about, but I think that it's more and more, hey there, more and more, I think that it's time to really speak about it in the fullness of my experience. And it's a little hard for me to say it, but when I first came to psilocybin, one of the primary motivations for that is because I had this intuition or this inkling that psilocybin was going to be a doorway into the spirit world for me. I'm telling you, it's going to get woo from go. But that's okay. This is really, and not only is it really valuable and important, some of the characters in this are just as fucking skeptical as me, because I did not like believe or feel like this was kind of like, a valid line of inquiry for a very long time. But I had some shit go down with an uncle of mine that passed away. And even younger than that, there was a friend of mine who passed away, who Richard Miles, I love you. I always love you. You're such a good friend. He passed away suddenly and very tragically. We grew up together. And on New Year's Day, it was really close to New Year's Day when it happened, because it was just a few days after his passing that I was driving around in my parents' car, and he was there with me. Not visibly, I didn't see him there, but he was absolutely, I could feel his presence, which is, I think that's an interesting thing to take note of as well, just in terms of, the human beings that we are. We often associate kind of our memories and our knowings of people with, their physical presence. But their physical presence comes with an energetic presence, right? You can feel the person. Everybody's got a different imprint. It's like our fingerprints. I'm gonna get messy, I can tell you already. I've never done anything like this. I've never done live painting. I'm not a great painter. I mean, anyway. So he was there with me, and that was when I was like 16 years old. I still didn't fully buy it. I wasn't like, oh yeah, Richard was there. I felt his spirit. I didn't tell anybody. I just kind of sat with that and let it be. And then time went on, and I was, I think, 21 or 22, something like that. And an uncle of mine passed away. And I was on the way to his funeral, and I had had a couple of psychedelic experiences by this time, but on the way to his funeral, I went into a full-blown trip. I was driving, and just all of a sudden, just boom, he was there so strong. I had to, like, I slowed the car down and was just creeping along. It was so overwhelming, and I had never experienced anything like that. And so, as I continued to work with psilocybin, there came this realization that the mushrooms were going to give me access into this spirit world, which I still didn't fully believe in or accept was there. And so, I kind of very skeptically moved into that, and I forgot about it. It's not like something I thought about. It's not like every time I took mushrooms that I was thinking, oh, here we go into the spirit world. Had some of it mushrooms. I was just like, let's have some fun, let's have some laughs. And that's mostly what it was for a very long time. And then this one instance that I want to share with you all that was by far the game changer for me in terms of this kind of direct experience with some world, some realm other than that which we experience on the daily. And then, if you don't mind, I will use this as a springboard to share what has transpired in the last 24 hours. So, but me and a friend of mine, we've been friends for a long time. We were going to do a mushroom trip, and we did lots of mushroom trips together. And I had fresh mushrooms. And for those of you who have eaten fresh mushrooms, you probably know that fresh is incredible. Wow, I haven't thought about this one for a long time, y'all. Another thing that this touches on is the nonlinear trajectory of a mushroom trip. This mushroom trip started before we ever took mushrooms. I feel it right now. All right, so I'm going to recount this day. And, if you don't find this interesting, well, have a nice day. Go somewhere else. That's okay. I know that this is a valuable contribution to the informal research, anyway, around psilocybin. So we had planned to do this trip. Dude came over, and before the mushroom trip, we had this big hill that he wanted us to run the hill. And so we ran up this hill, and I ran it no problem. I was quite surprised at how easily I got up this hill because I wasn't, really big into fitness and exercise. But ran up the hill, and he didn't do so well. He was actually quite the jogger. And time we got up the hill, he was like, "Man, I'm fucked up. It was rough on me." And so didn't really think anything about that. It's just whatever. We're going for a run up the hill. He had a hard go, and it wasn't that hard for me. And my son, I had my 19-year-old now, who's probably, I don't know, 10 or so then. He had a taekwondo match or practice that day that I was going to take him to before we went on our dose. Oh, back then I always pretty much exclusively dosed at in the dark at night, and so we were going to take care of business and then take care of our brains. And so I take my son to his taekwondo, and we're leaving out the house, and on the way there, as we're driving down the driveway, I have never experienced anything like this before this point, where I'm driving and all of a sudden the roof of my mouth just started to pour with water. Just was like raining down. And I was like, what the fuck is this? My mouth is just filling up with water. I had no idea what the hell was going on. It was like I didn't know if I should swallow it. I didn't know if it was toxicity coming out of my body. I had never experienced anything like this. Knowing what I know now, I wouldn't have spit it out, but then I did. I like pulled the car over. I was driving, pulled the car over, and just let all this water run out of my mouth. And it happened. It went on for probably a good 10 minutes. It was the most crazy thing that I'd ever experienced. It very much felt like the onset of a trip, in certain ways. I certainly understand that better now, and that's what this image here, this Neijing 2 image, there's a lot kind of wrapped up in there. But I just kind of dismissed it, blew it off, like whatever. That was right. That was crazy. Never experienced anything like that. We continued on. Took my son to his taekwondo. We go to that and um, do the thing. And after the taekwondo, we're driving, and this is up in rural Indiana, so we're out in kind of bumfuck area. We're driving, and my buddy sees a groundhog, but he doesn't know what it is. He's like, hey, look, what is that weird animal over there? So I stop to see, and it's a groundhog, and no big deal. But as soon as he opened the door, he pulled over, and as soon as he opened the door to see what the animal was, right there in front of the car was a great big turkey feather. And it might not mean much to anybody else, but for me at that time, there was a uh, strong significance to the wild turkeys, and I do not mean the whiskey. So we picked up this turkey tail and kind of just like, oh, that was neat. Okay, what's that all about? And went on our way. We go back to the house, get the kids in bed. My then wife, now ex, was there. She was there with us as we were beginning our dose, and we were going to go off into the woods. Uh, he had never had fresh mushrooms, so I was going to treat him to some fresh mushrooms. And he was always a little afraid to take a really big dose. So I was going to dose him at a very high level. Uh, and so we took about, I didn't weigh it, but knowing what I know now, it was probably about 70 to 90 fresh grams of cubensis that we took and put into a blender and made into a smoothie. And if you ever would like to get kind of the slingshot effect into hyperspace, this is a great way to do it. Take 80 grams of fresh mushrooms, put that stuff in a blender, make a smoothie, and drink it real fast. And in about 10 minutes, you will be gone. And that's what started happening to us. But here's where this the non-linearity of it and the strangeness of it starts to present itself. Okay, so we had been having a talk. One of the reasons this guy wanted to do the mushroom dose is because he had been really working on his relationship with the feminine. He was never satisfied with women that he dated, and he, always dated beautiful, talented, smart women, but kind of like that Seinfeld episode, he'd just be like, "Oh, her feet are too big," or "Oh, she doesn't always chew with her mouth closed," or something like that. And so he would have all these opportunities to have lasting relationships with really wonderful women, but he would lose them because he couldn't be satisfied. I think he's not the only person that experiences that. It's definitely been a struggle for me as time has gone on. We're all just working through life here, trying to repair the damage that's been done and trying to become the best we can be. And so he had his own personal struggles here, and that is why he came to the mushroom this night, is because he wanted to finally be able to stay in a consistent, stable, healthy relationship. And before we dosed through the day, he had been talking about this date that he went on. So he's dating a girl, and all the backstory is really important to kind of understanding what's gonna happen through this experience. And this is just you'll understand how it all ties together if you stay tuned. So throughout the day, he'd been telling me about this date and the struggle he had been on. So what was the deal is that he was dating a model. Like this dude was always dating just like the most ridiculously beautiful women. And he was dating this gorgeous Asian woman. The Asian women loved him. But he had met this girl online who he felt like might be a better choice. And so he went out on a date with her behind the girl he was dating behind her back. Um, and when he was there waiting for the new girl to show up, she walked in and she wasn't as attractive as she had presented herself to be online. Got little catfishing. And he said that he told me that he saw the disappointment in her face when she saw disappointment in his face. And so she came in anyway. They had their date. They had a really great conversation. It went really well in terms of the shared interest and everything that they talked about, but he wasn't physically attracted to her. And so he just kind of ghosted on her. She probably messaged him a few times, tried to get him to hang out or whatever, and he just didn't respond back. Which, by the way, don't do that shit. It's not cool. And he just talked about how he felt through the day as we were preparing for the experience. Talked about how he really felt like shit about it and wished that he could have done it differently, would have done it differently, et cetera, et cetera. Well, 9 o'clock rolls around and we get ready to take this big dose of mushrooms. And I had made the smoothies. One of the big things is always put your phones away. I know I got fireside project people that are in trouble and need to call somebody. Fucking leave your phones alone as much as possible while tripping. It is nothing but a pure distraction. And so anyway, he was over messing with his phone, and I told him a couple times, "Come on, dude, put your phone away. Let's get this on the road." And at one point, I said, "Dude, put your phone away. Come on, man, let's do this." And he was like, "Hold on, hold on, hold on." He's like, "Listen to this message. I just got this message." And the message said, "Did you know so and so?" And so just happened to be the name of the girl he had went out on this kind of undercover date with. Okay. And so he's like, "What do you think? What do you think this means? Did I know her? Did I know her?" And I was like, "Dude, what do you think it means? Put the phone down. Let's do this." And because I knew, like, at that point, like, he was gonna just like not take the trip. This was somebody who pretty much every time he took mushrooms, he was scared to death that he was gonna die. I mean, every fucking time. Like, it's okay, it happens to me. But I mean, every time this dude took mushrooms, there was a period where he was dying. And it was not like, "Oh yeah, here comes the ego death." It was like, "Holy shit, somebody help me, I'm dying." And so I was like, "Dude, let's do it. Come on, now's the time." And I gave him a smoothie, and I chugged mine right there in front of him, and then he took his. Knocked it back real quick, and within about 10 minutes, seriously, if that, we started to feel it happening. And we still had to get, like, I don't know, probably like 1,000 yards to our campsite where we were going to set up for the night. And so feel it coming on strong. We get out of the house. We get down to the spot. I somehow managed to get a fire together going for us. And we sit down, and here it is coming on. And as it's coming on, I feel this insane burning sensation in my groin. And I'm just like, what the hell is going on? I'm on fire. And about 5 minutes after feeling this, he stands up to go pee, and he says, "Man, I got this bladder, this urinary tract infection that is just killing me." And I realized that's what I was feeling. Like, I was feeling his his pain empathically. And that was the first time that that had ever happened to me. I had never experienced someone else's sensation at that point. It's definitely become a thing that takes a certain level of discernment still before I know that it's me or somebody else, but it's definitely a thing. And so, you know, he said a couple of times as the trip was coming on, what the fuck does that mean? Did I know her? Did I know her? And I just kind of was just like, man, it sounds like she's no longer with us, wouldn't you say? And just kind of didn't really go into it. And so it comes on so hard. We're going through this, and he, after this UTI thing, he comes back to, you know, this girl, and like, uh, you know, did she kill herself? How did she die? What the hell happened? She was young, you know, what the hell, what the hell, what the hell? And we we're down here in this valley with a fire, um, with him dying and terrified. And the only thing that I could think was we needed something. We needed something to ground us. We needed something to really hang on to so that we could see kind of like a path in front of us. And so what I suggested is that like, okay, man, we need to go down to the grow house. We need to go to the mushroom grow house, because there was a long road that led to it, and all I could see was this road. Thinking if we can just get on this road, then we can, you know, walk. We have a path and a trajectory with which we're going instead of this all over the place. And so we put out the fire and we start walking up the hill. We somehow get ourselves up to this road, and he starts to really kind of break down and verbalize his feelings about how he had made this girl feel, and how, you know, the last time, the only time he met her, the last time he met her, that he certainly reinforced um, some insecurity, if nothing else, to say the least. And I just kind of listened to him and allowed him to talk it out. But there felt like there was something more happening, and he didn't really talk about it until we got down to the grow house. There was an office inside of the grow house for some comfortable seating, and we got in there, and he started talking about how he felt like she was there, and how he was kind of in this panic mode. He's like, I feel like she's here with us. Um, and, you know, again, it's like so much of the stuff is like, how much is imagination, how much is reality? And that has been one of the greatest challenges for me, is in trusting what I'm experiencing. And so I had felt too like there was this kind of extra presence there, but I had never met her. I didn't know how to express that or what to think about it. I was just kind of allowing it, letting it be, filling it out, letting him process. And as it went on, it got stronger and stronger, where he felt like she was there, and he felt like she was kind of like not scolding him, but showing him very plainly how he had mis- mistreated women. And, you know, through these hours, we had some very long, detailed conversations about our experience with women, about what it's like to be a man in society, and, you know, what we're brought up with. And I talked a lot about my sisters and whatnot, and women that I had dated, and how, you know, things that I had certainly had a need to improve myself on. And it was just a long, very long, powerful conversation, um, that felt like it was certainly inspired from some, not just events, but some kind of presence. And, you know, those of you who have taken psilocybin multiple times know probably that very often there's just things that are happening, feelings that are being felt that you don't know how to put into words. And that's what so much of this is for me, that I'm trying to express and trying to understand in that moment as time goes on, what is this feeling that I'm feeling, and how much of it is just simply my imagination. So we go through this whole thing, end up the night outside, the moon comes up late at night, big and powerful, and he's cried quite a bit, and I've felt really some powerful emotions around my relationship with women. And he basically, at least at that time, came to feel that this individual was there, that her spirit did come into the space and did inspire some healing and some teaching. So come to find out, she did take her own life. She did intentionally overdose. It wasn't because of him, but it was because of this insecurity she had struggled with weight off and on, and she just really felt the way that you feel when trying to trying to live up to the pressures of a world that can never be pleased, where you can never be enough. And so that night was a really powerful encounter for me with this concept of really communing with the spirit world. And like, this is something that we don't talk about enough. And generally, when it is talked about, it's usually fucking flakes and weirdos that are talking about it. Look, I'm not excluding myself from that demographic, but I have been a very science-based, skeptic, rational person who, if I could go back and do it all over again, I would not be so much that way. And so, I guess fast forwarding into what's happened today, and then using that as a way to talk about other experiences that have been very, very, very similar. I've been working with someone who is a very rational, a very materialistic minded, not like greedy materialistic, but like, the world is matter. There is no spirit. You die and you're gone. And that's it. And this individual came to psilocybin really more out of a curiosity, but also with some hope and alleviating depression, because someone very close to this individual had passed, and very, very close, like very close family, had passed. And it was a really traumatic and surprising way. I'm just kind of really just feeling the weight of it. And so she came to psilocybin in hopes to treat the depression that had come along with this. And when we first worked together, I thought, this is going to be a long road. This individual is very resistant to spirituality, very resistant to even abstract thinking. But is a beautiful soul, one of my favorite people in this world right now. And so we worked together, and she had one really unpleasant experience. It was very uncomfortable, very challenging. I was, I got to, as is not uncommon, I got to be the the blame. I got to receive the blame for her unpleasant experience. Um, that first dose, and then we did a few more doses, and on those other doses, she kind of had enough of the challenging stuff. It's not that she wasn't a formidable force, but she wanted to feel joy, and that first trip didn't really bring joy. And so, what I suggested is that, you know, let's take this next experience and do try to kind of craft it in a more joyful way. She did a lot of really tough work on that first dose. And I could tell that she just wasn't quite ready to go into, like back into the trauma of that experience, and just wanted her to feel some joy, have a good time. And so we had a experience together that was designed, like I said, to be more joyful. There was, playful music, and it wasn't necessarily a party vibe, but we were going to have a good time. Let's put it that way. And so we did. We had a great time. And so here's the deal. Like, and I'm giving away a lot of really valuable stuff here that will probably, possibly, not even be appreciated for many years down the road. And I'm not saying that as arrogance. I'm saying that because it's hard to understand a lot of what I'm sharing, and until we have a large number of individuals working in the psychedelic space to this extent, then it's going to be hard for there to be any kind of real visceral understanding. But when I'm working with somebody, especially someone who, like this individual, I had a feeling that this wasn't going to be our only time together, and so I felt like it would be not just beneficial for her to do this kind of more playful experience, but it would be beneficial to me as someone who is trying to work with her and help her heal over the long term. And why I say that is because, see if you can understand this. So, kind of like a doctor, kind of like when a doctor is assessing a patient, they're poking, prodding, and asking questions and feeling things out. They're doing an assessment. And when I'm working with people in mushroom space, part of that assessment is the psychology, where they're at, kind of where they're at in their head. But it's also where they're at in their energy. And I don't try to speak in absolute terms. And if I hadn't had a whole heap of experience with this and seen things that I never thought I'd see, then I probably wouldn't be saying this. But it's all energy, folks. It's all energy. We are all energy. Everything is energy. These paintings that I'm working on, I am actually infusing an energy into these works, and I know that is also a value that is brought to them. You who are here listening, you're contributing energy to this, and that's not a little thing. And so when I'm working with people, I'm not just kind of seeing where they're at with their mental space, but I also want to feel where they're at in their whole energetic space. And so I knew if I got her having a good time, that I'd be able to, get a different read on it. When someone is kind of distracted, then it's like when you get a shot, right? I love talking this out because it helps me understand the work that I'm doing better as well. You know how when you were a kid and you'd get a shot in your arm, and they have you look over here, right? Distract you so they could poke you. It's a maybe a similar concept. And so let's have a fun day. Let's have a little party vibes, and let's let the mushrooms work in that manner. And I'll see what I can do. I'll see what I can bring to the scenario. Um, and so that's what we did. And I got to read, and I could tell, I could feel, kind of a lot of what was going on, and I could tell that it was going to be a long road, and that this was an individual that it was going to require slow, gentle, non-invasive. I don't ever want to be invasive, but like just really a gentle, mindful, soft approach, because this individual is one of the most powerful people that I've ever met, one of the most powerful energies that I've ever encountered. And you got to be careful when facilitating the release of that. It's a huge responsibility. There are serious implications, not necessarily bad, but like there's stuff to deal with afterwards. You don't just break through someone's walls of 30 years and then all of a sudden they feel better. There are implications. And so I could tell that it was going to be time, and I wanted to be patient because I really wanted to help this person. And so we did our little thing and had our little day, and we go on our merry way. And we split, we part. I don't see her for some time. Well, a lot of times, and most often, I think the shifts that occur are not necessarily immediately perceptible, especially when it's a big shift. And so she went back home. A few months later, she had pretty significant break. I want to say breakthrough. It was more like breakdown leading to a breakthrough. Breakthrough has definitely come. I mean, maybe. I think it's really happening now, but just kind of giving it space. And so, I spoke with this individual. They were having significant personal challenges dealing with it came across as life events, but I know, and we know now after having some ongoing discussions about it, that they're those life events were initiated by this experience with this sacred medicine. And I'm 100%. This is some extremely sacred and powerful medicine, sacrament, plant, however you want to call it. It is so powerful and so sacred. Levels that which it operates on, we may never fully understand. And so she had this big shift that was not pleasant, not what someone's sure as hell wasn't what Michael Pollan wrote about, but it was definitely what this person needed. And then I was asked to provide more support, and I was happy to. So we did some more work together, and that that time that is one of not one of it. It was the most powerful, amazing openings that I've experienced. So incredible. I have a feeling that the world will be experiencing reverberations of that in time to come. Quite confident. So anyway, lest I die. In this experience, oh gosh, there's so All right, let me backtrack a little bit. In this experience, so I had a cousin when I was 16 years old. Most beautiful soul. She is the most beautiful light in this world. She just everywhere she went, Amy Lamb, everybody loved your smile. Everybody loved your smile. Your laugh, the way you touch people, it's just like, oh, I love it. I love you. And there were times in mushroom space where information would come to me, where communication would come to me that I didn't know where it came from. And there were times that I would work with people where, you know, it would seem as if they were possessed. That's kind of the kindergarten explanation of it. One in particular, there was a lady who I worked with and have worked with multiple times who had this very powerful ancestor spirit. And again, this was like before I was ready to acknowledge a lot of stuff. But so see if you can hang with me because there's a value in understanding full context here. And so we did a mushroom dose together. And the first dose that we did is in a group situation in Jamaica. The first dose of just 3 grams, and I just had this feeling that there was something there. There was something with her, and I didn't know how to put it, but it's just like there's something here. Well, she came out of the mushroom trip, and she says to me the next day, like, "Hey, Eric, so can we talk? Can we talk?" She's like, "Yeah, so something I didn't tell you because I didn't really think it would be relevant, but now I can't help but feel like it is that my grandmother, who this was she was Asian, she was Asian, she's not Asian descent, she's first generation. I'm not going to name this country specifically because I want to be able to share this valuable information with maintaining as much privacy as possible. She said she had a grandmother who was selected to be a shaman. That they had a tradition in their family that there was an ancestor spirit who tapped some people to be shamans. And that her grandmother or great grandmother, I can't remember which one it was, had been, called to be a shaman, but refused the call and therefore went blind. And this happens, this is not an uncommon story in cultures where shamanism is practiced, that if you are called by the spirits to be a healer and you don't, then you will then be stricken with some kind of illness. Supposedly, as I understand it, in the hopes that you will cure your own illness be compelled to do your own healing, and then you will then go on to heal others. And so grandma, great grandma said no. She went blind and just never did go into healing arts. And that was it. But the whole family knew that that's why grandma went blind, blah, blah, blah. And so in this experience, that's kind of what I felt was there was like this very powerful energy, personality that was around her, but I didn't know what to think of it, and I sure wasn't going to be the one that brought it up. So when she brought it up to me, I didn't tell her that I had experienced anything. I just kind of was like, "That's interesting. Okay, let's see how this thing unfolds." Because you don't want to plant. That's something really important as we're working with people. We don't want to plant information in their head. We want to allow people to have their own organic experience and then define it in terms that are relative to them. If we can provide, or if I can provide some kind of insight through my experience, then so be it. So I didn't really say anything, just like, okay, well, that was interesting. Let's see how this thing unfolds. And so she goes into the next trip, which was, I want to say 6 grams, and it was there. It was there very strong. There was a very, and not, it was more than just a sensation. It acted through her, and it became this clairvoyant voice. And you know, believe it or not, it's like I'm not talking in hopes to um, convince anybody of anything, but you see certain things over and over, and it's just like, this is what's happening. There is absolutely a clairvoyancy that can come through the mushroom state. I have seen many people who were not in any way connected with any kind of channeling or anything like that start to just tell people what's up, and it's usually like not a super like friendly. It's not like, hey, you could really stand to improve this part of your life. It's like, you're fucking up this and you need to fix it. Do you understand? And if you go back and read some of the transcripts of Maria Sabina's ceremonies, same thing happened there. Maria Sabina laid shit out for people. There's not many of those that exist, but there are some existing transcripts. Actually, I think it's more like first-hand reports, not transcripts. And so second trip comes on, and there's this thing that is kind of acting out through her, and I'm like, wow, this is kind of crazy. It's laying down the law and telling people what's up, and kind of freaks her husband out, but it wasn't like super pronounced, but it was there. And so after that, and she was like, Eric, what the hell was that? I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna tell you what I saw the first night and what I experienced this second night. And so I told her that I did experience this entity there with her. I had a sense that it was extremely powerful, but I couldn't tell whether or not it was benevolent or malevolent. And I just kind of laid it on her because her family, she actually was on this retreat with her family, her daughter and her husband, and they were pretty freaked out by what happened. And so, we had a consultation and talked about it. And they're like, okay, well, let's see where this goes. And so the third dose, we go down, and I really love this family. I still do. I still have contact with them. Still think very highly of them. So we go down to the beach and we do this dose. And as the dose comes on, I'm like thinking, okay, let's see if I can get a read on the nature of this thing. Is this good, bad? What the hell? What are we dealing with here? And so as the trip starts coming on, and I can feel that kind of presence rising around her. It's dark. I go and stand 20 feet maybe in front of her. She's sitting upright in a meditative posture, lotus. I'm just standing there in front of her, just dark. She doesn't even see me. Her eyes are closed. She's in this meditation. And so I go into this space of just trying to engage with this thing. And so when I feel, this presence inside of myself, I say in an attempt to communicate, I say, are you benevolent? Why are you here? And immediately, what I not hear in my head, but what is like transmitted to me is, who the fuck are you? Do you even know where you are? Do you know who you're talking with? And as a matter of fact, who's here protecting you? Because you are in a pretty vulnerable spot. And if you don't have somebody here on your side working with you in this world, you might be in some trouble, mister. And I was like, holy fuck. I like immediately broke out into a sweat. Like, oh shit. I am in over my fucking head here. But I'm already in it. There ain't no getting out. Everybody's taking mushrooms. I've taken mushrooms. We are here. And so I kind of center myself, calm myself, stay there with it, give it a minute, and just kind of walk away. And it's a long night, and you spend a lot of time in this space working with people. There's probably 10 people there at this time. There's another lady there with her. She was there with her brother. She was there with her brother. She hadn't seen her. I went and sat down with them, again, like a lot of what I'm doing is just trying to get a read on the energy. And so I go and sit down with them, and they're laughing and talking. It's a big spread out beach. Everybody's kind of spread out. There's a fire in the middle. And they're over there laughing and talking and having a good time. There was something that didn't feel right. It just felt like something's going to happen here. There's going to be a shift here at some point. And I need to be on my toes for this. And so I, hang out with them, have some laughs, move on, check on people. I got somebody at a certain point that wants to go. Actually, my son. My son was there. He didn't go that night. He was just kind of there observing. And, after things had calmed, it started really calming down, and we had gotten well over the he went up, he could go lay down. So Lecturer and I kind of walked him up a little bit. Other multiple facilitators there, so I wasn't leaving anybody unattended by any means. But I walked away from the visibility of the group for probably 3 to 5 minutes and had this very strong feeling that that is when things were going to shift. And so I go back, and sure enough, by this time, the young lady, blonde lady who is not Asian shaman situation, I felt like there was something going on that was going to come up. I get back, and she's sitting around the fire, and she just was barefoot. And I'm like, sorry, where are you at? I waved it. She was just like, there, I don't know what happened, but left. And shit got dark real quick. I don't know where I'm at, what's going on, but I'm pretty terrified. And it's like, I can feel that. It's not good. Everybody's good stuff. Just hang tight. Something was compelling me to go back over my shaman ancestor situation. So I'd go over there, and I got my eyes on the girl by the fire, but also there were some bears there just watching. I got my eyes on her, go over, sit down by the shaman lady, and when I sit down, this was the most curious thing to experience. So I sit down, she's still there in meditative posture. I sit down right in front of her, about 3 feet away, quietly, and so weird. We didn't speak at all, but at the same time, we both bowed toward each other, and both went into this kind of rhythmic dancing together. There was no spoken word. Just sat there together and just like went into this kind of dance. And it's the fucking craziest. This is happening for probably 3 to 5 minutes. And Asian shaman lady says, out of nowhere, she says, go get blonde lady, go get lady by the fire, right? Just out of nowhere. So it comes out around. All right. So I go over there, and I said, okay, so I asked you to come with me. She's like, okay, why? So let's not talk about it. Let's just feels like it's the right thing to do. So she comes over there, and I have her sit. She sits down to my left. Shaman lady is there to her left. There's the three of us, and I'm just there quiet, trying to watch and wait, but think and vote. And so again, simultaneously, without any speech, we both reach out at the same time and take the hand of this blonde lady in the middle, and she starts convulsing and going through all this, and she's just like, kind of does this thing for probably like, I don't know, whatever, 4 minutes. And go through all that, quiets down. Shaman lady and me sing back up in this dancing. Then at the same time, and without communicating, we both stop this rhythmic movement thing, bow to each other, and Shaman lady says, it is done. And so we just sat there quietly at that point. And so sat there silently and feeling so humble, so involved, so grateful for the privilege, feeling that massive energy clear for scared blonde lady. I was just sitting there silently, and again the same awareness communicated to me. Said, hey, do you want to know who's here with you? Do you want to know who's protecting you here? Yes. And immediately it said, hey. And I just broke into tears and accepted this reality that I had been not accepting for 3 years prior. Just sat with that. And I said I accepted it, but I don't know. In the moment I accepted it, but it takes time to accept those things. Allow that to be something that's a part of your life. So my sound is weird. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe it's the Bluetooth. I don't know. Maybe this episode will be a bust. Maybe that won't make the cut. And whatever, it's a good processing experience. And so, had that experience and moved on, and there we go. Now, bring it back forward. Working again with this Blame Tristan. Yes. Bring it back forward to most recent, working with this individual who had this tragic loss. And the kind of follow-up session, we were doing a session, and there was someone else there who was being a support person, but that person did not take any psilocybin. They were not really a good candidate for psilocybin because they were kind of a little bit on the, I think, schizophrenic, honestly. Scale. But after the first session, where this person was there being a support, after the first session, she said to us, she said, does anybody know someone named Amy? And I was like, I just let everybody else answer. I was like, does anybody else know it? They were like, no. And I said, I knew it, Amy. I know a couple of Amy's now. Why are you asking? And she said, well, just yesterday during the mushrooms, I just kept hearing this name, Amy. And I knew that what was going on. I knew who it was. And because there's a sense that I'm starting to be able to recognize when awareness is present, but she is present. And do some more dosing. Next couple days. And Amy comes and is directly communicating with me, not like verbally, but like starting to recognize that this feeling that I have felt, this intuition that I have felt, has been in large part, if not completely, her presence. So she comes and she tells me that she is communicating. She's going to go get, basically, that's the message that comes to me. I'm going to go get this departed family member, and you're going to moderate. And I was like, all right, bring it on, let's do it. I was deep in 12 grams. And so this interaction starts to happen, and it's really powerful. It goes on for several hours, and the person that I'm with is just kind of like, that I'm working with, you can tell there's like this level of like stunnedness, like what the fuck is going on here, but still not also accepting what's going on. So just letting it do its thing. And that person has recently had an experience where they feel like they directly encountered this deceased loved one. And this is someone who is very material centered, like just, non-materialistic, but overall functions in a Newtonian manner. And it is it's been beautiful to see this opening occur where there's now the realization of the other reality, but beyond that, there is an immortality of life. And that is the biggest takeaway for me. That's the biggest, most profound, like, wow, is that this thing goes on forever. We last forever. We are eternal. And it's very easy for us to limit ourselves into this little window that we're able to see. But that's not all there is. And it is incredible, beautiful. One of the great gifts of the mushroom is their ability to help us see into that world, engage in that world. And again, it's not really important to me whether or not people hear this, believe it, or agree with it, or anything like that. I didn't either. But this is what traditional cultures have been telling us forever. And we're babies, we're infants in terms of engaging with these sacred plants. And, we're looking at it like it's a Tylenol. It's going to Tylenol for depression kind of shit. And that is plain and simple and beautifully so not the case. This is a sacrament that takes us into, that allows us to experience the deeper realities, the realities that are ever present, but are not always within our perspective. And it makes me wonder why, again, why am I not doing this more? And I think that time will come. In Jamaica, I was doing psilocybin 3 to 6 times a month, from 3 to 6 grams typically, for going on 7 years. Mushrooms a day. And so I think it's okay that I've taken a break, and I also know that everything is just expressing itself and doing what it does. This is not me doing anything. This is the thing doing what it does. And so just allowing that to be the case. And probably it's really valuable for me to get some integration time, you know, to reflect on these experiences, to take that energy and transmute it into things like art or into conversations or into sanctuary or, you know, other forms of creation that I'm currently working on, attempting to constantly improve my physical health and my relationship with my wife and family. Um, So anyway, I guess the big lesson of that long rambling story is that life is eternal. And there are so many more instances over the years that I can look back and think of these examples and where this has shown itself to be true. And it's just really incredible. I'm really grateful to be doing the work that I do, and I hope that I am allowed many, many years to continue to do this work and help others skill and access. It's not about us, y'all. It's not about we're no more valuable than the trees that are out there that surround us, but we're no less valuable either. This is this wave of time that isn't, I don't believe, anyway, moving forward, but is emanating out from some kind of center that we get to continually experience. And, you know, today has been an interesting roller coaster, varying levels of awareness that life is happening through me, life is happening through you, and not that we are doing anything. Like it's again like even this on Soul 7 thing. You know, I'm not doing this. It's so it's so arrogant, but it's also just natural to say like, you know, I'm doing this. But the truth of the matter is that I'm not doing it. It is doing through me. And that's with everything. This big, beautiful, unfolding equation of reality. So, okay, well, I think I'm gonna let that be it for tonight. This has been a long ramble, and hopefully the sound wasn't too horrible. Hopefully it will provide some value. I appreciate those of you who did stick in, but yeah, I see Guy, the audio is janky. It's probably because of me using Bluetooth. And, you know, like I said, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But for those who do listen through, you might find that it is valuable. Anyway, much love and thank you for being here. Sorry for the audio thing. Tristan, I'm just going to have to take it out of your paycheck, buddy. All right. Peace.